Namaskar and good morning, everybody. A warm welcome to all of you to today's meeting. Yesterday night, we observed Shivaratri. Lord Shiva is said to be the king of yogis, Yogeshwara. And today we are going to hear something about one of his chief characteristics, Indrawness. I'd like to begin with a wish Sri Ramakrishna once expressed to his disciple Mahendranath Gupta, M., the recorder of his teachings. One day, in the course of a conversation, the master says, the mind of a yogi is always fixed on God, always absorbed in the self. You can recognize such a man by merely looking at him. His eyes are wide open, with an aimless look, like the eyes of a mother bird hatching her eggs. Her entire mind is fixed on her eggs, and there is a vacant look in her eyes. Then Sri Ramakrishna asks M, "Can you show me such a picture?" M says he'll try to get one. After some search, he does find such a picture, a simple black and white line drawing which very closely depicts Sri Ramakrishna's description of an Indrawn yogi. The picture pleased Sri Ramakrishna very much, and it now adorns almost every Bengali edition of the Gospel, Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrit. Now, the very image of an Indrawn person with a gaze turned within has great attraction for spiritual aspirants like us. None of us will deny that. We instinctively feel that we too want to become like that person. Just the look of such a pair of eyes suggests a great many things to us. Control, composure, steadiness, balance, equipoise, and depth. We are deeply attracted by such a face because we ourselves are struggling to achieve that condition of calmness, peace, serenity, tranquility, and again, depth. I'm not just rattling off synonyms. Each of these words does mean a lot to us. We intuitively know that we too can attain that state, that we have it in us to become like the yogi whom we admire. After all, we have to first have something within ourselves before we can see it in others. The how and why of such an interiority is our theme this morning. One of our ancient Upanishads, the Katha Upanishad, begins a discourse with the following observation. There's a verse that says, "The self-existent Supreme Lord inflicted an injury upon the sense organs in creating them with outgoing tendencies. Therefore, a man perceives only outer objects with them and not the inner self. But a calm person wishing for immortality, beholds the inner self with his eyes closed. The verse says, the Supreme Lord inflicted an injury upon the sense organs. The experience of outer objects and not the inmost self by the sense organs is a kind of injury done to them by the Lord Himself when He created them and turned them outward. The word in the text, vyatranat, the word may also mean killed. As long as the sense organs experience outer objects, they are deprived of the knowledge and awareness of the self within. This is a kind of death to them. People with strongly worldly desires don't even seek the knowledge of the self, and thus fall victims to ever-recurring death. That is why the verse says, vyatranat. But a calm person wishes for immortality. Deathlessness or eternity is the very nature of the Atman. And then, inner self. The calm person wishes to see the inner self, wishes to know the inner self. Etymologically, the word Atman means the inner spirit, which pervades and absorbs everything, and whose reality remains unbroken forever. And how does he see this? How does this calm yogi see this inner self? With his eyes closed. That is to say, by turning away the senses from outer objects. The eyes here represent all the sense organs. It is not possible for a man to experience at the same time both the external world and the inmost self. The hard discipline of self-control by which he realizes the inmost self that hard discipline is compared to the turning back of the downward course of a swift flowing river. I'll say it again. Self-control is like the turning back of the downward course of a swift flowing current. Commenting on this verse, Shankaracharya explains that the self, hidden in all beings, does not manifest itself. It is only seen through the one-pointed mind of an illumined seer. So, what is the obstacle to self-knowledge? Because Shankaracharya says, if the nature and the cause of the obstacle are known, one can then try to remove it. The natural tendency of a man is to dwell on external objects which are other than the self. And that is an obstacle in the path of self-realization. This is what is known as ignorance or avidya. Another obstacle caused by such ignorance is the longing to enjoy material pleasures. So we have two, ignorance and desire, avidya and kama. So these two then are the two chief obstacles to self-knowledge. Because God has made the senses so that they look outward, we see only the outer world and not the inner self. But there are some wise, intelligent, and quiet people who turn their eyes in the opposite direction, inward. when the Upanishad speaks of the eyes, it means all the senses of perception. All are turned inward, and then these calm, wise people perceive the inmost self, because they are seeking something immortal. They are seeking something that is everlasting. So the important thing is turning the eyes in the opposite direction. Our eyes look out, but we must not allow them to look out. We have to turn them back. And how do we do it? That is the practice of interiority. The very first thing that we will have to do after turning our sight back is focus it on something within, on something interior. True, if we close our eyes, we can't see outside things. But this negative action alone is not enough to divert our attention. We simply close our eyelids, but where are our eyes, really? What is our mind thinking about? So we have to find something within on which to focus our mental eye, something on which to concentrate. Now there are some difficulties about it. What could it be on which we have to focus our mental eye? What is that thing within? Just anything will not do. Anything may do only to the extent of developing the power of concentration. But the power of concentration by itself will not lead to spiritual truth. It has to be spiritual concentration. Concentration plus meditation. But the question is, what is it on which our inner vision should be focused so that our concentration may be spiritual? That is one thing to find out. Another thing should be understood. Seeing has been associated for very long, both in our thinking and behavior, to our eyes. Seeing is always associated with the eyes. We do it instinctively. Even when we want to see something within, we make an effort to look with these eyes, with these physical eyes, as though we are looking inside this cage from outside and above. There is that tendency. The eyes may be closed, but actually they remain active. Probably that is everybody's experience, and more or less unavoidable in the beginning. But if we could get interested in the object of meditation, interested in the object, if we try to see the image of God within ourselves, not using that image as a device for concentration, but thinking that God is actually there, and that we have great feeling for Him, then that involvement with God will wake up the inner vision. And suddenly we will discover that the eyes have nothing to do with this kind of seeing. Through the practice of meditation, we are set to reach this stage in which we see things not with these eyes, but with something different. So that is the inner object on which we should focus our mental eye, God, or the self, if you like. We have to concentrate on God. That is the usual way to meditate. Let me repeat, there's a difference between concentration and meditation. Concentration can be on anything on which the different powers of the mind are brought together. In itself, concentration is not spiritual. But if the object of concentration is spiritual, then that concentration becomes meditation. How do we reach that meditative state? By withdrawing ourselves from the external world, from the sensory world. We should stop caring about everything that attracts our senses, everything that draws our senses outward, to which our senses rush. We shouldn't care for pleasant sensations, tasty food, nice clothes, cozy homes. We should care less and less for all those things. But how do we do it? By renunciation, by detaching ourselves from the external world. Then gradually the inner world becomes more and more real than the outer world. And we begin to live at a deeper level. If we persistently practice living deeply, then we will feel the presence of an indescribable being. Call it the Atman or your own Ishtadevata. We feel the presence of this indescribable being within our heart. This is the inward life. We live such a life through detachment by giving up the outer world. That is to say, we don't want anything except God. This renunciation of the external takes time to develop and a long time to become complete. Sri Ramakrishna says, the yogi withdraws his mind from the senses. The yogi withdraws his mind from sense objects and tries to concentrate it on the Paramatman. Therefore, during the first stage of his spiritual discipline, he retires into solitude and with undivided attention practices meditation. Sri Ramakrishna says, even if one lives in the world, one must go into solitude now and then. He says, it will be of great help to a man if he goes away from his family, lives alone, and weeps for God even for 3 days. Even if he thinks of God for 1 day in solitude, when he has the leisure, even that will do him good. Living in the world and entangled in many of its duties, the aspirant during the first stage of spiritual life finds many obstacles in the path of concentration. Then he continues to say something much more serious. The disease of worldliness is like typhoid. And there are a huge jug of water and a jar of savory pickles in the typhoid patient's room. If you want to cure him of his illness, you must remove him from that room. So, the worldly man is like the typhoid patient. The various objects of enjoyment are the huge jug of water and that jar of pickles. And the craving for their enjoyment is his thirst. The very thought of pickles makes the mouth water. You don't have to bring them near. And he's surrounded with them. So Sri Ramakrishna says, treatment in solitude is necessary. On another occasion, when Sri Ramakrishna was talking about the same subject, a devotee who was a highly regarded preacher of the Brahmo Samaj, he says, "Sir, we follow the example of King Janaka. He led the life of a householder in a detached spirit. We too can follow him." As if it were so easy. Immediately, Sri Ramakrishna breaks in and tells him, "But can one become like King Janaka all of a sudden by merely wishing it? How many austerities Janaka practiced in order to acquire divine knowledge. He practiced the most intense form of asceticism for many years in solitude, and only then returned to the life of the world." Then the person asks, "Is there then no hope for those who have to live in the world?" Certainly there is, Sri Ramakrishna says. But they must practice spiritual discipline, again, in solitude for some days. Thus they will acquire knowledge and devotion. Then it won't hurt them to lead the life of the world. But when you practice discipline in solitude, keep yourself entirely away from your family. You must not allow your wife, son, daughter, mother, father, sister, brother, friends, or any relatives near you. While thus practicing discipline in solitude, you should think, this is very important, you should think, I have no one else in the world. I have no one else in the world. God is my all. You must also pray to Him with tears in your eyes for knowledge and devotion. Sri Ramakrishna continues, if you ask me how long you should live in solitude away from your family, I should say that it would be good for you if you could spend even one day in such a manner. 3 days at a time are still better. One may live in solitude for 12 days, a month, 3 months, or a year, according to one's convenience and ability. So Sri Ramakrishna is willing to go that far. He makes so many concessions. Anyhow, I was saying the renunciation of the external takes time to develop and a long time to become complete. So we must be prepared to struggle silently and steadily, alone, for years. Everyone has to pass through that stage. We must press forward with great tenacity, doggedly, without getting discouraged. If we keep ourselves, what is the fruit of that life in solitude? If we keep ourselves untouched by the world, we will be surprised at how much nonsense has gone out of our lives. Even one day away from our computers and smartphones, you must have experienced it yourselves. Much of the world is an unnecessary distraction for us. Our trouble is that we pay too much attention to the world. If we didn't bother ourselves so much, we would have much less trouble. So if we don't have to bother ourselves, let us not bother. Because when we live too much in the world, the outside becomes too big. And sometimes we will not know what to do. I quoted that Upanishadic verse, Some intelligent persons seeking immortality saw the self within by turning their senses inward. Just how do we turn our senses inward? Let us first of all take the example of the eye, which is for our purpose the most important sense organ. How do we turn the eye inward? We find that as we try to meditate, all sorts of images begin to rise in our mind. Some good, some not so good. But let us try not to pay any attention. Let us try to ignore them. That is one of the things we must do. Whatever comes into our mind, pleasant or unpleasant, we must not pay the slightest attention, but must try to focus on the pure self within. We should just let other things go. Various thoughts arise in the mind, but we should learn to restrain ourselves from following after them, at least during the time of meditation. Because even if they are good thoughts, they are distractions all the same. Everything that has been taken in by our senses, we should give up. And always try our best to avoid them in our day-to-day lives. Anything that comes up in the mind, we should reject while meditating. We should make a great effort to see only the self within. Sri Ramakrishna says, when Arjuna was about to shoot at the target was the eye of a fish. The eye of a bird. His eyes were fixed only on the fish, on the bird, and on nothing else. He didn't even notice any part of the bird except its eye. While Arjuna was aiming his arrow at the mark, Drona, his teacher, asks him, "What do you see? Do you see these princes?" "No, sir," Arjuna says. "Do you see me?" "No, sir." "That tree?" "No." "The bird on the tree?" "No." "What do you see then?" Then Arjuna says, "Only the eye of the bird." Sri Ramakrishna says, he who sees only the eye of the bird can hit the mark. Just look at Arjuna's wonderful concentration. He sees only the eye of the bird and nothing else. Not his teacher, not his friends, not the surroundings, not even the bird itself. When we have something of Arjuna's concentration, that kind of singleness of purpose, by and by we will find that other thoughts don't rise in the mind so much. We will also find that even outside the hours of meditation, things don't attract our attention as much as they used to do before. Earlier, if we saw something beautiful, we would be attracted to it. We would feel like looking at it again. We would think about it, fantasize about it, but not so much now. Not just the eyes, but all the senses behave that way. We find that things don't have so much attraction for us anymore. The senses are all now turning inward. Instead of going outward, they are going within. And eventually, all outward attractions will completely stop for us. Then we will find that we are not so imprisoned by the senses. The mind becomes restless because the senses are restless. But when the senses become less restless, the mind also becomes comparatively quiet. Whether it is the time of meditation or not, we feel like closing our eyes and retreating within ourselves. It is from this stage that the mind slowly begins to commune with the inner self. We begin to feel the presence of the Atman within, howsoever vaguely. But gradually, it becomes real to us. The process has now started to bear fruit. As the mind reaches deeper and deeper, we experience greater and greater peace. And when peace becomes intense, it becomes joy. If we have meditated deeply in the morning, we will find joy pervading our minds all day. Every time we meditate, we will discover more and more of this inner joy. It is something like a self-existent joy. It already exists inside. We only uncover it. That is to say, we only become more and more aware of it through the practice of inwardness. It doesn't have any cause. Because if it were produced by any external cause, then when that cause ceases to exist, when the cause disappears someday, as all things do, then this joy will also disappear. But everything truly spiritual, everything genuinely spiritual is always natural and spontaneous. Now, these are the general things. But what can we do specifically in order to have this interiority? As the mystics say, silence is the shrine of the Lord. We find him in the silence when the mind has quieted down. That is where we will find him, because in that inner silence, he shines. So we must be still and try to be with him alone. And the very first step towards this control of speech, is control of speech. Vang Nirodha. Last week we heard about the first steps of yoga. According to Shankaracharya, control of speech, refusal to accept unnecessary gifts, abandonment of worldly desires, worldly ambitions and activities, and always living in a secluded place in continuous devotion to one spiritual ideal. Let me read it once again. The first steps to yoga, according to Shankaracharya: control of speech, refusal to accept unnecessary gifts, abandonment of worldly ambitions and activities, and always living in a secluded place in continuous devotion to one spiritual ideal. Then it becomes easier to control the other senses, and at last to control the mind. In fact, there are monks who will not look this way or that when they are walking along the road. They look only 4 or 5 feet in front of them. It is a habit with them. They will not see anything farther than a few feet ahead. They will not talk unless it is necessary. They will not hear unless it is necessary. They will not allow any sense, any lenience or freedom unless it is necessary. This is how they practice interiority. At the same time, they constantly try to visualize the object of meditation, of their meditation within their heart. It may not be a thoroughgoing meditation, but it is still a thread of meditation continued all the time. They make a habit of these practices. The question is, why should we look this way or that? Not only are we distracted by every little thing, but we distract others also. But why? There is no reason. So we must be self-controlled, not controlled by outside things. Swami Ashokanandaji describes another far more effective practice. These are the outward practices. But Ashokanandaji's interiority, the interiority he talks about, is of an entirely different order. This is how he explains it. Only an Ashokanandaji could have done this. All things have an external meaning and an internal meaning. Things can be understood superficially or very deeply. We can regard a person as the body or as the mind that expresses itself through his behavior. But if we make it a habit to understand things in their essential character, we will know that the real person is a third entity behind both body and mind, the pure spirit. Of course, this is not easy. Our minds will not go that far. We are not prepared to make sacrifices. But everything is possible through practice and habit. Someday, let us hope we will find someday we will find that we have penetrated to this depth and are face to face with the real person, the pure spirit. When we have succeeded in doing this, something extraordinary is set to happen. Ashokanandaji says, then, instead of looking at a particular thing, the mind begins to look at the whole universe as the form of God, the infinite God in this infinite form as this universe. This is the experience of God as the vast, infinite universe. Stars and planets, mountains and oceans, people and animals, all together make up one form of the infinite being we call God. We must learn to think of Him as this universe, and we must also learn to think of Him as underlying this universe of forms. The point Ashokanandaji is trying to make is, we must not let our attention stop with the surface of things. We must go deeper and deeper in all these different ways, outside and inside, until we get to the thing that will enlighten our hearts. And the best way is through meditation. The temple is our own heart. The Vedas say, the Ancient One is seated in the cave of the heart, in the deepest part of our being. It is in the interior space of the heart that the light of God is perceived. Every evening we sing, Namo Namo Prabhu Vakyamanatita Jyotira Jyoti Ujala Hridi Kandara. Salutations to the Lord who is beyond mind and speech, the light of lights, who illumines the cave of the heart. So that is where we must seek Him, and that is where we will find Him. So let us first try to see God there. Let our eyes turn inward and see only Him who dwells within. Let us meditate upon Him. It is not imagination. Even if it is, as Swami Yatishwaranandaji says, it is realistic imagination. Because God really dwells within, as a matter of fact. But we, in our present condition, are spiritually so ignorant, so stupid, that imagination has become reality and reality has become imagination. Imaginary things have become real, and the real itself has become a matter of imagination. Nevertheless, what is at first imagination in time becomes realization. Unless the heart opens up, the full presence of God in nature, external nature, cannot be seen. That is the only door. We have to dive deep within ourselves and pass through this door, through our heart, to penetrate into the heart of the universal. We have to dive deep within. That is the only way. The only way to enter into the universe, into the universal, is to enter into the heart of our own being. If we can do that, we won't remain what we are now. We are bound to become deep persons. Profound depths are within us. As I said in the beginning, we have it in us to regain our lost depth. We are born human in order to realize that deeper self. All we need is to get over this assumption that we have to live on the superficial plane. We must make it natural to live constantly at a deeper level of existence, deep down. That is where we should live. We have to learn it. On the surface, there is very little that is worthwhile. So why seek things that will remain outside of us? They're not worth having because they can never become part of our being. Moreover, inner accomplishment is vastly superior to outer accomplishment. Our fulfillment lies in attaining the calmness that is necessary for the sake of divine knowledge. If we remain superficial, we will be scattered by the winds of the world. We can't expect anything if we continue to live on the surface. If we don't learn how to dive deep, we gain nothing in the end. So the great art is to go deep, both inside and outside, to learn to penetrate through the barriers of appearance and get in touch with the reality behind. When we discover what we really are, when we discover what the world really is, then we become pure and simple in the true sense. So in this way, we'll slowly find that we have become interiorized. Our senses have become indrawn, and as Sri Ramakrishna said, you can tell if a person has reached that inwardness by his eyes. You will know how far he has progressed. One look, Sri Ramakrishna says, one look and you will know. However, suppose we haven't advanced that far. Let us at least try it. Let us at least start. If we can't do the whole thing, let us do at least a small part of it. We are sure to find that this practice of inwardness or interiority will be of great benefit to us. If we want to be spiritual people, if we want to know the truth, and if we want to live according to the truth, then we need to take up this practice. And even a little achievement in this direction will bring us rich rewards. Now I would like to end this talk with a small, beautiful song from the gospel. We began with the gospel and we end with the gospel. Dwell, O mind, within yourself. Enter no other's home. If you seek but there, you will find all you are searching for. God, the true philosopher's stone, who answers every prayer, lies hidden deep within your heart, the richest gem of all. How many pearls and precious stones are scattered all about the outer court that lies before the chamber of your heart. I'll read it again. Dwell, O mind, within yourself. Enter no other's home. If you seek but there, you will find all you are searching for. God, the true philosopher's stone, who answers every prayer, lies hidden deep within your heart, the richest gem of all. How many pearls and precious stones are scattered all about the outer court that lies before the chamber of your heart. I'd now request our Prithvishda to sing this song in the original Bengali. Thank you. And after the song, let us close our eyes and spend a few moments reflecting on what we just heard.
कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कुवीभिरेरितं कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततं भुवि गिरन्ति भूरिदा जना भुवि गिरन्ति भूरिदा जना. अपनते अपने तेको अपनते अपने तेको যা চাবি তা বসে পাবি, যা চাবি তা বসে পাবি, শুধু খোঁজনির অন্তরে আপনাতে আপনি থেকো পরম ধনই পরশমণি, যা চাবি তা দিতে পারে, পরম ধনই পরশমণি, যা চাবি তা দিতে পারে, কত মনি পড়ে আছে, কত মনি পড়ে আছে, সেই চিন্তামণি নাচা দুয়ারে আপনাতে আপনি থেকো। তীর্থ গমন শুধু দুঃখ ভ্রমণ, মন চাটন করো না রে, তীর্থ গমন শুধু দুঃখ ভ্রমণ, মন চাটন করো না রে, আনন্দ ত্রিবেণী স্নানে, আনন্দ ত্রিবেণী স্নানে, শীতল হওনা মূলাধারে, আপনাতে আপনি থেকো। কি দেখো কমলাকান্ত নিচে বাজি এসো কি দেখো কমলাকান্ত নিচে বাজি এসো সেই বাজি করে চিনলে না রে, সেই বাজি করে চিনলে না রে, সে যে তোমার ঘটে ज्ञानकम्पाधितविग्रहं वै ईशावतारं परमेशमीठं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामि.
I have a couple of announcements to make. We have a special event on Friday, the 24th, at 7:30 in the evening. There'll be a lecture by revered Swami Sarvanandagiri Maharaj. Swami Sarvanandagiri Maharaj started his training under the personal tutelage of the well-known Vedantin Swami Chaitanyananda Saraswati in 1984 and received his sannyasa diksha in 1991. Swamiji has expert knowledge on the vast Vedantic literature and has mastered the Prasthanatraya. He was appointed Acharya of the renowned Kailas Ashram in Uttarkashi and elected president of the Sadhu Samaj. He now serves as president of Chaitanya Tapovan Trust and vice president of Adi Shankara Brahma Vidyapeeth. Swamiji is also fluent in Sanskrit, Hindi, Bengali, and English. You're all most welcome to attend the meeting, after which there will be a light dinner. So this event will be on Friday the 24th in the evening at 7:30. Then next Sunday, that is the 26th, at 11 o'clock in the morning, we will be celebrating Sri Sri Thakur's birth anniversary with special puja, bhajans, pushpanjali, and prasad. We hope all of you will be able to attend this function without fail. Thank you. Have a nice day. Keep well.